All right, Malpal, let's roll it out. Let's start the show by talking about the top 10 Texas high school football playoff games this weekend, which it's hard to break down. It's getting increasingly more difficult to break these down, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because what are you going to do?
There's so many good
games.
Yeah.
So we've gone in the lab. We have a specific, a very
a lab.
We've gone in the lab,
lab.
and we've got a very scientific method and a very scientific formula for coming up with the top 10 Texas high school football playoff games of the weekend. It's very high tech. I would explain it, but it would just take too much time.
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it?
Let's roll out.
You just don't want to.
Let's roll out the top 10 Texas high school football games of the week. We'll start in the middle. 3 o'clock Saturday in Arlington. Do you want to say it? It's supposed to say live on TexanLive.com.
Live on TexanLive.com.
It's the South Oak Cliff Golden Bears against the Lucas Lovejoy Leopards in what I've termed as an anxiety bowl. Two teams that have got to be feeling like, I don't know if we got it this year. After last week, Lovejoy survives against White House while South Oak Cliff puts up 126 yards of total offense and finds a way to beat Mansfield Summit. That's a real stat, 126 yards of offense.
That's wild. That is crazy.
The real headline here, we'll talk about this more in the picks, but the real headline matchup here is the South Oak Cliff secondary, the defensive backs, up against this Lovejoy receiver core, which is so good. So that's a huge game Saturday in Arlington. You can watch it live on TexanLive.com.
It will be 2 seconds from me. Because I live
that's right.
there.
You live in Agtown. That's
Mm-hmm.
right. 7 o'clock Friday at Kincaid Stadium in Dallas. Again, this may be flying under the radar. 5A Division I action as the Longview Lobos take on the Frisco Lone Star Rangers. Lone Star's weird this year.
I saw them in person. Yeah.
And?
They're just hard to figure out. I mean,
they
I
got
think the game that I went to, they had 4 turnovers or something.
So they're 9-2, but their losses are to Frisco Reedy, who's undefeated.
That's the game I went to.
And then they got kind of bodied by Frisco Wakeland. Which
That's
is
the game I went to.
Everyone was just like, what?
Yeah, that's the one I went to.
Here? What's all this then? But they've figured things out, and their defense has been pretty consistently excellent. They will need to be even more consistently excellent going up against Longview, taking on the Lobos, who I think are the favorite in 5A Division I. So excited to see what happens there in that 5A Division I clash. I would have to think Longview's the favorite, but Lone Star certainly lurks. 7 o'clock Friday in Frisco at the Star in Frisco. Live on Bally Sports Southwest. It's the Denton Geyer Wildcats and the Highland Park Scotties.
This one's so good.
This is one of only 2 matchups of unbeatens in Texas high school football this week. The other one is Union Hill and Abbott in 1A Division I. 1A Division I. Highland Park has had a weird year. Despite being unbeaten, I think that they've flown under the radar a little bit. Part of it is that their district kind of isn't very good.
Yeah, they were stuck there with Richardson and Irving and stuff.
Yeah, they were thrown into a pretty soft district and mowed through them. And now, to be clear, with the exception of Jesuit, who's the second best team in that district and still alive in the playoffs, they mowed through everybody like they should. But if you look at their other games, the games against competitors, contenders, right? Flower Mound Marcus, Louisville, last week against Arlington Bowie, a little bit more of a challenge. This will be their biggest challenge by a factor of about 5 this year.
Yeah.
Denton Geyer looking great. Quarterback, of course, Jackson Arnold leading the way. Landon Sides, wide receiver. Peyton Bowen, kind of do-it-all athlete. It's going to be up to Brennan Storer to kind of match Jackson Arnold throw for throw and play for play in this one. I think Highland Park, their best way to a win is get this game into a close and late and close situation and then pull out that HP magic. That's kind of their path here, because Geyer's the better team. I don't really think I'm going on a limb here when I say that Geyer's the better, more proven team right now, but we'll find out a lot about that.
Highland Park's kind of been dipping their toes a little bit into 6A all year, and now they're just about to jump right in with the Sharks.
They're about to do a
learn
cannonball.
How to swim.
Oh,
exactly.
Yeah, they're about to do a cannonball. 7:30 p.m. Friday night in Lubbock at Lubbock Trinity Christian. It is a 1A Division II area round matchup between the Klondike Cougars and the Whit Harrell Panthers. It sounds like, actually, based on what I'm reading from people whose six-man opinions I respect, Kind of sounds like I'm kind of on an island here by liking Klondike. Klondike is 8-3, but I think they're a lot better than their record would show. Their losses are to Lorraine, Ira, and Jayton, who are combined 26-7 on the year. Last week they had a great win over Sanderson. Creed Warren is their kind of do-it-all athlete. Whit Harrell's defense has been excellent all year. The guy to know for them is Shamadrick Weaver.
Yep.
I think that this is going to be. I think that the higher scoring game this is, the more it benefits Klondike. This game's going to be a lot of fun out there at Lubbock Trinity 1A Division II area round matchup. 7 o'clock Friday night in Houston.
Live on TexanLive.com.
It is a 6A Division II area round matchup between the Humble Summer Creek Sharks and the Alvin Summer Creek Bulldogs and the Alvin Shadow
That's
Creek
a mouthful.
Sharks. There's just they're both SC.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And the C is Creek.
Yes.
Like, I cannot be held responsible. Okay. We talked about this on Tep and Step. This is in many ways a referendum on District 23 6A. Humble Summer Creek came from District 21 6A, that's North Shore Tascasita District. All four of those teams are still alive. All four of the teams from District 21 6A they swept through. Shadow Creek is the district champion, 11-0 out of District 23 6A, but they're the only team left out of that district. And so my question is 23 6A, like, is Shadow Creek just a product of a bad district?
Bad district.
That's kind of what we'll find out. I'm really interested in that game, 7 o'clock Friday in Houston. 7:30 p.m. Friday night in Katy.
Live on TexanLive.com.
It's the 5A Division II area round matchup between the Austin LBJ Jaguars and the Port Neches Groves Indians. Craig Way was on our show on Tuesday, and he mentioned about how this is like the purple parade for LBJ because last week they beat Elgin, who's purple, and now they played Port Neches Groves, who's purple. A lot of this really ultimately comes down to, like again, many of the questions we've had is how quickly can LBJ stand on the gas. I think that LBJ is a pretty good team. I really do. I mean, they're 9-2.
They're kind of a team that's kind of flown under the radar a little bit too, just because I don't think they were as good as they were. They are as good as they were last year.
I think that's part of it. Part of it is that they're not as good as they were last year. That's a really unfair bar. You know what I mean? To judge a team on. But that is true.
That's just the matter of the fact.
That's a matter of fact. The other thing is that they play a tough non-district. They lose to 6A Manor, and then they lose to Parish Episcopal, who's the number one private school team in the state.
Right. And they moved up.
And they moved up to
class
5A Division 2.
Yeah.
And then they go into a district where they are not just better than everyone. According to the computer, their closest game was a 35-point. Like, they were 35-point favorites against Austin Crockett.
That's wild.
Now they take on Cole Crippen and Port Neches Groves, who's a bona fide, certified, pretty good team, and who has come out of a much tougher district, Fort Bend Marshall, Dayton. They are at least more recently more battle-tested. And so that's the real question here is how quickly can LBJ stand on the gas? I'm very intrigued to see how this all plays out. 7 o'clock tonight in Springtown, Pojo Land. 3A Division I action. I think flying under the radar. The Bells Panthers take on the Comanche Indians in a really intriguing game. Bells has 2 losses on the year. One of them is that district loss to Gunner. The other one they have a loss to Whitesboro, which is aged pretty well overall. This is a real interesting test for them because I'm not sure that they've, I think you could install them as maybe a little bit of an underdog. Comanche has had a really nice year. Comanche is 10-1. That one loss in the year is to Toller, who's unbeaten. They have a win over Albany. They've been, now it's a 3 over 2A. D2. I don't know how much stock I put in that. All that's to say, Joaquin Escobar's done a great job with Comanche kind of getting their wheels back on. There's a big test for going up against Bells, who run that kind of wing T, slot T offense that's going to be hard to diagnose in 1 week. But I think in 3A Division 2, we're all just kind of waiting for Gunner. And especially in Region 2, we're all just kind of waiting for Gunner. But I think Region 2 is deeper than people think. And that's a perfect example of one of those games. 7:30 p.m. Friday night in Corpus Christi. It is a 5A Division I area round matchup between the PSJA North Raiders and the Corpus Christi Miller Buccaneers, and it is time for a referendum on Valley football. This is it, folks.
Yeah.
This is it. We've been talking all year long about how this is the Valley's best shot to make to win a region in years. And I would couple this with the other game there in Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial and Edinburgh Vela.
Yeah.
Those are, in my opinion, those 4 teams I just listed. Edinburgh Vela, Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial, PSJA North, and Corpus Christi Miller. Those are the 4 best teams in Region 4. And now they're going to play one another.
Yep. This is their biggest test.
This is it.
Yeah.
I am comfortable saying that if PSJA North and Edinburgh Vela win their region, I think they're gonna meet in a regional final.
Yeah.
We'll have an all Valley regional final.
Man.
There's other Valley teams that can make a run too. Brownsville Veterans Memorial's in there too. This is though a real test for PSJA North. They are really physical up front and they grind you out. But Miller's got speed, and that is something that PSJA North has not seen this year, the kind of speed with Lonnie Atkins and company they're going to have. They're going to need a big game from Ali Aparicio, their quarterback there at PSJA North. I'll tell you this, the computers love the Valley teams.
Really?
Love them. Our computer has PSJA North as a 9-point favorite, and Vela is a 17-point favorite.
Wow.
I don't know if I think that's a little rich for me, but huge games, and arguably this is one of the biggest weeks for Valley football in like 30 years.
Yeah.
This is a massive week for them on the statewide scale. 6 o'clock Friday in Woodrow, out there near Lubbock. It is a 2A Division I area round matchup between the Cisco Big Dam Lobos and the Stratford Elks. I make the point on the picks video. We'll hear more about that here in a minute. I make the point on the picks video that I think Stratford might be the quietest, unbeaten defending state champion in Texas high school football history. Like, they're just mowing past. They've won 23 in a row. They've got a new sophomore quarterback in Bryce Braden who stepped up in a big way. Julio Valdez has led the way on what has been an outstanding defense. Going up against Cisco, Hunter Long in the command of that run-first offense. And their defense has been pretty good. I think they're playing their best football right now. They whomped Reagan County last week. This is in many ways Stratford's real welcome to Division I moment.
Yes.
And if they pass it, then we need to start talking about them in big serious terms. So that's a huge game there. And 7 o'clock Friday night in Weatherford, another 2A Division I matchup, this one in Region 2, as the Coleman Blue Cats take on the Crawford Pirates in a game that I also think is flying under people's radar. Computers got this as a pick'em. Coleman has been great. 9-2 on the year. Their only losses on the year are to Toller, unbeaten by 10, and then Atlanta. That's a 3A Division I team, so I don't know if it's necessarily fair to judge them on that. But this is a Coleman team that has some individual playmakers that are going to make this really fun and difficult, I think, for Crawford. There's a Crawford team that's mowed through a difficult district. They are 11-0. Their defense has been relentless. But I do think there's a Coleman defense that can go stop for stop and maybe match up with them physically. The question we have for Coleman is depth. If Crawford is able to wear them down, they're going to win the game. I think this game is going to be really fun, and I'm excited to see how this game works. Plays out. I think this is flying under people's radar. Coleman and Crawford in Weatherford on Friday night. There it is, the top 10 Texas high school football games this weekend. You can find dozens of games to stream on TexanLive.com. Hey, thanks for watching this clip here on YouTube. If you like this kind of stuff and you want more of it, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. And remember, you can watch us live every weekday at noon at TexasFootball.com, Facebook, Twitch, or here on YouTube. And if you want more of the best coverage of football in the state of Texas, check out TexasFootball.com and become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider at TexasFootball.com/subscribe.